Hello class, and for my project I'll be talking about legacy carrier and pro-deregulation. So what is deregulation? Deregulation is the reduction of government rules on industry. Companies have more competition and less micromanagement from the government. So deregulation is pretty much really in what I've understood from it is the government not interfering with what you do. So for example, or let's get into it actually. So the issues we face as an airliner: limited flexibility, market expansion, and competition. I'm going to be talking about the following. For limited flexibility, as an airline, with regulation from the government, we could only go certain routes. Prices were controlled by the government, so as a company, we had no say-so in how much we charged our tickets. And innovation was slower because obviously, because it's not private, we couldn't expand our airline. We couldn't expand where we wanted to go, and keep that in note where we wanted to go. I think that's a very important one. And we couldn't increase the size of airports to fit our companies. For market expansion, we could not expand to new routes without government approval. This was a very hard thing to do in that time. New companies had a hard time getting a major spot within the government. So if you want to start a new airline company, it was very hard to get accepted because pretty much the market was filled. Leads to less competition. There was really no competition in an industry where it's controlled by the government because the government has the majority say so. So it's like joining the good old boys club, if you ever heard that term. So they do what they want. They're ultimately in charge of it. And it's kind of like a government enforced monopoly. So they choose who they want to lead and who doesn't want to lead. Competition restricted how many companies there were. Companies were assigned only a certain amount of routes, and prices set and regulated. So, for example, companies that wanted to expand to different airports, they weren't allowed, and they only had certain routes to follow. And as a company, this would be very annoying because companies are supposed to grow. Businesses are motivated to grow and increase their new routes and get people to different destinations. And this is heavily regulated by the government. So it only allowed certain companies to travel to certain places, which would be super annoying as a CEO. So now versus 5 years, where we see ourselves now, because we're pro deregulation. The summary of the past 5 years, we were only allowed 3 routes. We had to cut manning due to losing 2 routes due to government say so. This happened all the time. The government chose who to introduce into the airline company that they could control, and people were losing destinations, getting new destinations. So it's all up to the government. The demand for travel increased, could not meet demand, and started losing money flying routes nonstop. So again, with the people that wanted to go, as the airline industry grew, more people wanted to travel because it took less time compared to driving across the country, which could take 2 days. An airliner, you could literally do it in 3-4 hours. So that is huge. Time management is a very, very important thing. 5 years later, the pros: we had a spike in the hiring process, increased travel and more competition for ticket prices, spike in hiring more employees, pilots, ramp agents, and airport staff. Direct flights added weekly to new destinations. Competition allows for cheaper fares, and company profits way more without government micromanagement. And the company is pro deregulation, so it allows us to be more free. We decide where we want to travel, where we want to send our troops, or not our troops, but where we wanted to send our airliners and everything like that. So we can travel to new destinations. As the company grew, more destinations became available. 5 years later, the cons version of it, again, because of the market being so free, it allowed for increased airport traffic congestion because obviously companies were growing, airports were getting busier, the demand became so high. Unions formed, which sometimes is a good thing, sometimes is a bad thing. These unions fight for better wages, better rest hours, all of that, higher fares due to competition. So again, with demand and supply, right? So that was a very big thing. Careful not to invest too much in aircraft due to demand. For the second thing, again, the lesson learned, back to the careful not to invest too much in aircraft due to demand. I took a quote from the Smithsonian website. It stated, when recession hit in the early 1980s, compounded by an air traffic controller strike in 1981, the industry began to suffer losses. Many airliners had overexpanded and found themselves desperately fighting for a share of a decreasing market. Large, well-managed, well-financed airlines such as American, United, and Delta uh, weathered the storm during the 1980s, but Braniff, Eastern, and many others could not and were forced into bankruptcy and extinction. And here are my references. Thank you.